Death Trap has been on a very interesting timeline this season. It started out everyone going for 275 energy with momentum, and it turns out that didn't deal as much damage as using close quarters combat. So then I made a bunch of videos on that, and then a Chinese player thought outside the box and made the RUNE work, which is essentially double damage, but at the cost of removing and depleting your energy. So now in a third iteration of the Death Trap Rogue, I am pretty confident that this is the final version of the Death Trap in Season 8. Step 1 to this build, have at least 150 energy, and I get that solely from my Beastfall boots, but if your Beastfall boots aren't as nicely masterworked as mine, that's okay. As long as you get 25 maximum resource from your boots, you can use a resource elixir to make up for the rest. Now that you have 150 energy, you're gonna need your Death Trap to be lower than 10 seconds. You see, mine is 9.9, which is perfect. Now, a lot of people don't notice, but up until rank 20, your Death Trap will lower its cooldown. So even though you have hit the 75% cooldown reduction cap, you might not hit the 10-second cooldown target that you need. Your solution is going to be get more core ranks, because our Scourner's Leather's chest make our Death Trap a core skill. So when all of the core skill ranks from our Perdition, or from our Banished Lord's Talisman, or from our gloves, or even from Vex Rune gives all skills. All those things will contribute to lowering your cooldown of the Death Trap. And don't forget these 3 nodes in the Deadly Ambush board, these 3 up here, they lower your trap cooldown as well. And if you're still struggling to reach that 10-second cooldown on your Death Trap, you can use Uravar's Lob Bombs. It gives you 15% cooldown reduction as well. It's a bit unfortunate because we would love to get the freeze effect from the Beast power, but we can get the freeze from our Caltrops, it's fine. Or even Rune. Could use it instead of the Quacks, the Vex, the Ohm, all of these are good options. The last piece to make this whole build work is we need enough ranks in Aftermath to restore at least 150 energy every time we cast our Death Trap. I recommend you have at least 6 ranks in Aftermath to make sure that you're set. Now that you've ticked those boxes, the rest of your optimization comes down to dealing more damage, right? So because we're using the key passive close quarters combat, all of our gear has tempered, you see, damage to close enemies, and I've even masterworked it. This is how we get a 300% damage bonus from this key passive. And you want to make sure that all your aspects are really highly rolled. And you see here, chance for Death Trap to deal double damage, around 70%. Plus 35%. That is 100% chance. So every single Death Trap I cast deals double damage. Dexterity, life, and attack speed are all extremely important on this build. All 3 of them are very valuable. I personally would prioritize dexterity and life, but having more attack speed just increases our damage output and our ability to get through content fast by a lot. The affixes on your chest doesn't really matter. On your pants, the only thing that really matters is the life. Same as your Doombringer. Ideally, you just maximize as much life as possible out of this thing. And again, disclaimer, look at my weapons. The affix I'm using to restore resources, you do not need this unless you're pushing the pit and using the Rune. The Rune is a min-max tool at the very end to get a little bit more damage out of your build. If you want to speed farm and kind of get through content on a casual level, you don't need to worry about these affixes. You can roll crit or vulnerable. Both of them roll the exact same number, so it doesn't matter. If you're a casual player, you do not need these chance to restore resource affixes at all. For the boss powers, there's 2 that you will basically always use. There's a modifier, the Sinneret's Flame, and the Harbingers. Now, so far, the Wandering Death's Chest Beam to execute everything as soon as it reaches 25% of its health, that's been really good. But there's a patch in a few days that will enable Belial's I-Beam's power, the modifier here, to be a 30% multiplier to all of our overpower damage. And that's all the orange numbers that you see. So this will probably be the best in slot for this 3rd power here. But for now, I'm going to be using the Wandering Death one. And as the main power, you either go for Uravar's if you need the cooldown reduction. If you don't, then just use the Beast in Eyes for freeze. For the specialization, of course, we're using Preparation to reset our cooldown all the time. Real quick skim through of the skill tree. We're using Pen Shot just to trigger close quarters combat because we need to hit a close enemy with a marksman skill. So that's the use for Pen Shot, and we get some crit chance from it as well, which is not bad. Now, when I speed farm, all I do is I remove 1 point from my Shadow Step and put it into Dash, and now I have Dash. And then when I go back to pit pushing or difficult content, I put my point back. I don't need dash anymore. If you're using the Beast in Eyes boss power, you do not need the cold Caltrops. But if you are using Uravar's power for the cooldown reduction, I suggest you go with the Disciplined Caltrops. Now, Concealment is here to not only guarantee a crit and vulnerable, but it's also to activate our Dance Macabre board, which is a 75% multiplier. So what you can do is simply hold down Death Trap and spam Concealment with your second finger. I have Poison Trap here, which is my way of taking advantage of the alchemical advantage for more attack speed. I got 1 point in Shadow Crash because the shadow damage from Death Trap occasionally stuns. It helps to proc trick attacks, but also stagger the boss faster. Finally, of course, close quarters combat. Onto the Paragon, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just follow the build planner, versatility in the starter board. onto No Witness with the ambush glyph. I'm now running exploit weakness in my push version because I want the lucky hit chance. We need everything we can get to proc that restore resource affix on my weapons. But if you are not pushing, you can use Eldritch Bounty or Cheap Shot here. This particular board is very flexible. Or if you want, just leave it as it is. Keep things simple. Onto Dance Macabre, we are spamming as much strength as possible here because turf close damage really helps boost our key passive. And then finally, we're using Deadly Ambush with Explosive. Now, you do not need to max this board with Dex like I did here, but I'm high enough Paragon where I don't really have anything to put my points in, so I'm just going to spam them into Dex. I'm not sure this additive stun grenade damage is helping my Death Trap. It's supposed to, but, you know, in this game, you can't really assume. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And for the transmog, you want to make sure you're not wearing any pants or gloves. And the Artificer shirt here with the yellow pigment, same as the hat, we're going with a bit of fur to match our boots, which is the hide boots with the yellow pigment here. And that creates this beautiful, highly fashionable look that will increase your damage. Blizzard confirmed this yesterday. All right, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments.